Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Pacers. Congratulations, on that University of Indiana taking home the big prize. Congratulations. I certainly was rooting for them. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Derek. It was a big win. I mean, beyond big. Come on, man. Losing this record in the history of NCAA football, and you guys go and break it down. Breaking it down. I think you might have turned yourselves into a national superpower. I don't think it's going to end with just 1 year. Your coach is too good. Breaking it down. Excuse me. My Rams are in the playoffs, big time. Big time. Can you imagine that game in Chicago? Coldest game they've ever played in. Rams are an indoor football team. They play indoors. And they go to Chicago. And Chicago gets more yards. Chicago has more time of possession. Chicago pretty much dominates in the statistics. Except for two. You know what you need to do when you need to win a football game? You need to catch your passes. No drops. Not one single drop pass in the whole game by the Rams. Some missed connections, but not a single dropped pass by a receiver. Not one. Oh, let's talk about the penalties. Not a penalty. Coldest day of the year for them. And they're out there playing like they were in their backyard in Santa Monica Beach. That is called coaching. That is what you chalk that up to coaching. Anyways, that's Pop's Ram rant this morning. Good morning, everybody. So, as a quick reminder, go to your chat options and press live chat. That'll allow all messages to be available instead of just talk chats. Okay? So go check that out. Ruff, what are you doing? Come here, get out of there. 1 second. You go get on your bed. Go on. Bed. Good boy. Anybody think it's cold here? Anybody think it's pretty cold here? Pop's wearing a sweater around the house. Looks just like Toledo, huh? Sammy P, are you in the Toledo area? Are you in the Toledo area? Oh, Jolie, it is snowing like crazy here. And the wind is blowing hard. So we're getting a good wind chill action going. And this is just the front edge. It's supposed to get worse tomorrow and Friday. It is not helping over at the grow house. It is over at the grow house. A real challenge. I'm actually considering shutting down. Finish this harvest that I'm going to do. And I might shut down for a couple of weeks. First time in 4 or 5 years that I'm gonna probably, well, going on vacation a couple of times I've scheduled to be down, but never due to the weather. The weather's never stopped us, but the heating bill, oh my God, the heating bill over there, killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad. I love to see you guys say good morning to each other. Wow, look at that snow. I gotta keep showing that. That is just craziness. It's blowing like a Arctic winter. Yeah, Kim. Oh, yeah, Texas is going to get hammered this weekend. Texas is going to get hammered. Anthony says he packs it up for the winter and starts back in the spring. Done it that way for years. Okay. Oliver's Garden. Reach out to Pops. The Detroit Mush Lab at gmail.com. We'll see what we can do with you. Okay? The Detroit Mush Lab at gmail.com. Anthony, because the mushrooms already know. They already know it's winter. We only see snow once or twice a decade, maybe. Okay, Lynette, go ahead and send me another one. I don't know that I received something. Lately, people have been telling me they're sending me emails and I'm not getting them. And then one person who was pretty adamant that they'd sent them, I found one of the 3 or 4 they said they'd sent in my spam folder. So I'll check my spam folder a little more often. Cleany needs winter in his life. Let's check this one thing out. Let's check this out. You guys already know this. I know you guys already know this. I know you guys know this, but I'm going to go ahead and remind you. Okay? Oh, I get it, Cleany. Winter, you don't have to grow. I mean, you can't really, so you get a break. 100% get that. That makes sense. Okay, let's check this out. Excuse me. I'll never get rid of this cold as long as it's cold. Oh yeah, that makes sense for you guys down there in Florida, Corey. Oh, I never have the volume right on these things. How do I turn the volume on, Derek?
Percent of our
Oh,
DNA with fungi.
okay, there.
But here's where it gets terrifying. They aren't just alive.
Okay.
Underneath every forest, there's a massive biological. When God made the earth and
Oh,
God made the earth and sky. When God made the earth. Then.
okay. Let's try it again.
Mushrooms aren't plants. Biologically, they are actually closer to humans than they are to any flower or tree. Plants breathe carbon dioxide. Mushrooms breathe oxygen, just like us. They don't need sunlight to survive. They thrive in the dark. In fact, we share nearly 50% of our DNA with fungi. But here is where it gets terrifying. They aren't just alive, they are talking. Underneath every forest, there is a massive biological internet called mycelium. It connects billions of trees, trading nutrients and sending warnings. It works exactly like the neurons in your brain. Some scientists believe the Earth isn't just a rock. It's a giant conscious mind. And fungi are the wiring. They were the first complex life on land, and long after humans are gone, they will be the ones to digest our cities. Mushrooms aren't plants. Biologically, they are actually closer to humans than they are to any flower or tree. Plants breathe carbon dioxide. Mushrooms breathe oxygen, just like us. They don't need sunlight to survive. They thrive in the dark. In fact, we share nearly 50% of our DNA with fungi. But here is where it gets terrifying. They aren't just alive, they are talking. Underneath every forest, there is a massive biological internet called mycelium. It connects billions of trees, trading nutrients and sending warnings. It works exactly like the neurons in your brain. Some scientists believe the Earth isn't just a rock. It's a giant conscious mind. And fungi are the wiring. They were the first complex life on land, and long after humans are gone, they will be the ones to digest our cities. Mushrooms aren't.
We already know that, but it was a quick replay for us mushroomphiles. Shroomphiles. Give me 5 people. Just 5. Give me 5 people that think mushrooms are super duper, extracurricular, Cooley McWooleyton cool. Give me 5 people. Give me 5 people that think they're super McDoolio, Cutio, Coolio. What an amazing thing that nature created. What an amazing thing. 8th wonder of the world, Sammy P. That is... The more we talk about them, the cooler they get. Okay? Outstanding. Light Shine knows how cool they are. Light Shine knows. HP. We had talked a couple of times about getting you in on a Wednesday in the latter part of the show. Can I dial you up for tomorrow? Let me dial. Okay, Oliver's Garden. Thank you. I'll check the email after the program. Thank you. HP, let's dial you in for tomorrow. I want to hear from you guys the last 15 or 20 minutes of the show and talk to us about Mystic Journeys Church. The reason I'm kind of putting it off till tomorrow is I'm still wanting to read more of that Alan Watts lecture today. And I was rereading it to myself last night. It's a little long. And, but hang in there. There's a lot of little things we can pick out of his lecture that are pretty amazing. And I just want to finish that little lecture from Alan Watts. Okay? So tomorrow we'll give the last 15 or 20 minutes. We'll get HP here, and he'll be talking about their program over on YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? And it's called Mystic Journeys Church. There's three guys, Nerdy, Derek, and HB, and they're talking about getting somewhat of a female voice in there one of these days. We need more females talking about shroomage. 9 p.m. tonight, for sure, Corey. Okay, yep, that's what they are, Herbie. They're giraffes, handing out knowledge. They're the big giraffes. But give me 5 people that want a female voice, too. It'd be neat if I had a co-host here once or twice a week. Female voice. We need more feminine voices in the community. They're there. But unfortunately, they're making up a smaller percentage than I believe they should for the health of a community. When I run my analytics to check out what we're doing here on this show, this program, when I run that, Nerdy, do you have it in mind? Thank you. You guys have the technology to pull it off. All right? We are up to 31% of the viewership is female now. 31% of the recent viewership is female. And that's not just the people that watch it live. But by the end of a given day, we have up to 300, sometimes more, views of each program from that day. People in different time zones that are watching, and they can't make it here live. And then there's a lot of people working. And then there's a lot of people lurking. Workers and lurkers. But I'm telling you, I get a little motivational boost the more I see women involved. And it's so important that this not be a male-dominated situation. That's why it's really neat when we're with Alan Watts and we're talking about yin and yang. We need both sides to be one. Give me 5 people that agree. More girls. Thank you, HB. 5 people. All you have to do is agree. More ladies. More women. Niffy, Lynette, Aaron, Nerdy, anyone that's interested, please reach out to them. I think we have Laura Devine might be popping in. Anthony Hunt Glassick, Forley Cleaning, Lucky Lures, Jonathan, more ladies, Cyber Jolie, Light Shine. See, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in my opinions. More girls. They really have an amazing perspective and well worth listening to. Okay, where are we going here? Quick article for you. Boy, this is an article I'm going to read to you later this week or early next week. And it's called Surfing and Psychedelics Have at least one thing in common. Surfing and psychedelics. And I'm not talking about being on psychedelics and surfing around your kitchen floor. Real world surfing. Having nothing to do with psychedelics. And this article is going to make the argument that certain things happen in our brain during surfing that equate to the same things that happen in our brain on psychedelics. And Light Shine is right. Surfing is also extremely healthy. It's a very healthy engagement. So, we're going to cover that. We're going to jump into that next week. Maybe Friday. Let's go here today. Okay, let's go here today. clean bill of health. Your grade school DARE teacher taught you one kind of vigilance. DARE. Taught us one kind of vigilance. Just say no to drugs. Just say no. Stay away from the unmarked white vans. Beware of the gateway drug. There's different kinds of vigilance. Not just DARE's form of vigilance. Okay? Just say no to hate. I love that, Queenie. Researchers just completed the first ever analysis of global pharmacovigilance data for classic psychedelics and MDMA. Basically, this means they looked systematically at what happens when people trip and roll. The study reviewed adverse events reported from the World Health Organization's Vigibase database. This survey spanned 180 plus countries. It included reports for MDMA, LSD, psilocybin, DMT, and mescaline. Here's what they found out. It's mostly in your head. 38% of LSD reports and 32% of MDMA reports involved psychiatric issues, such as anxiety and panic. Your LSD users reported more anxiety and panic issues than any of the other psychotropic psychedelic drugs. Number 2 was MDMA. Guess what the least reported psychedelic was for anxiety and panic issues? What do you think? What do you guys think? The least reported. I'm waiting for a couple of answers. Nope, LSD was the most reported. Nerdy's got it. Corey's got it. Cyber Jolie's got it. Psilocybin. Psilocybin showed the least issues. Now these are reported issues where you think it's so what you're going through needs to get reported to the World Health Organization. Psychedelics least. Psilocybin. What's it doing to our organs? What's going on inside? To be perfectly honest with you, we don't know completely. We're still learning a lot. We're still learning. But from what we do know, okay, cardiac disorders made up only 5% of reports. And of that 5%, 90% was MDMA related. Barely a blip. Overdoses. Accounted for just 1.7% of total adverse events. Total adverse events. 1.7% of the users reported adverse events. craziness. It looks like somebody's doing a giveaway. Is somebody doing a giveaway? That's great. Herbie, anecdotally, I have had the least negative with MDMA. Okay. Thank you, Herbs. Most of the 1.7% reported adverse events came from the use of LSD or MDMA. I'm agreeing with you, Justin. Thank you, Mark. I see what you're doing. That's very, very kind of you. Very thoughtful, very kind. Mark has a winner. 1.7% adverse events. How about this? What if you're pregnant? This is where we need women's voices in the scene. Women, do you take psychedelics when you're pregnant? Is it okay to take psychedelics when you're pregnant? What's your thoughts? Good morning, Gypsy. Jesse's, nope, I'm not doing it. Cyber Jolie's like, no, Pops, we're not doing psychedelics when we're pregnant. Gypsy Life is like, nope, I don't smoke either. Okay, Nurs is like, you probably shouldn't. Nippy's, I'm not sure, but I know I didn't. It's a kind of a consideration, though, isn't it? We, men, don't think of these issues. We don't think of the menopause issues. We don't think of the once a month issues because they don't affect us, so we don't think about them. We need more women voices. I'm convinced. Here we go. The fetuses are okay. There were only 9 pregnancy-related reports for MDMA and none for any of the other substances. 9. MDMA, no issues with any of the other drugs for pregnant women. So, psychedelics are physiologically actually quite safe. The data is beginning to show us it's actually quite safe. I can guarantee you it's more safe than alcohol for your whole body, for your fetal syndromes. In fact, there may be even safer than this data shows. Especially because this report has tangled up with what they call polysubstance use. People often use alcohol, cannabis, and other drugs with psychedelics. When an adverse event report is filed after someone mixes 2+ substances, the database flags everything involved. Not to play favorites, but shout out to mushrooms. Despite being the most commonly used psychedelic, psilocybin had the fewest adverse event reports. Psilocybin, fewest across the whole spectrum, across the whole range. I think there's a lesson in there. That said, we still recommend using vigilance. For example, when someone says psychedelics fry your brain, that's a perfect opportunity for you and me and our community to teach them. They're still living on the dare. Psychedelics do not fry our brain. They do a whole lot of other things. But frying our brain is not one of them. And I looked deeply into that before I decided to put all of my life efforts into this. I used to sell stuff that fried your brain and ruined your life and ruined your relationships. It was called cocaine. I used to. Very quickly, just a little nibble at psychedelics and surfing. Okay? Minor. How surfing permanently changes your psychological state. Surfing has the potential to improve human health in ways that go far beyond blue health. The closest comparison in modern medicine is the emerging field of psychedelic therapy. In this article, we explore why these two seemingly different experiences may rely on the same underlying processes. One more paragraph. I'm just teasing you guys. This is a great article. Mental ill health now accounts for more disability in the United Kingdom than cancer and heart disease combined. The scale of suffering is immense. And it is becoming clear that the conventional treatments do not reach everyone who needs help. One of the most promising new frontiers is PAT, psychedelic assisted therapy, which seems to work not because it generates visions or euphoria, but because it opens a temporary window of neuroplasticity in that state. In that state, the brain becomes unusually capable of change. I feel like reading the rest of this article. Give me 5 people and say, Pops, read this article. You can get back to Alan Watts later. Why don't you guys decide? Surfing or Alan Watts? You guys decide. Surfing or Alan Watts? Talk to me. We going Alan or we going Hank 10? What do you guys want to do? Alan Watts and surfing. Looks like you guys want to go surfing. Okay, and then we can hit some Watts. It's a great article. You guys ready? We're doing it. So we said not because it generates visions or euphoria, but because it opens a window of neuroplasticity. Clinically administered psychedelics have been proven to treat intractable depression, PTSD, addictions of all sorts, and even stammering. Strikingly, one guided treatment can lead to improvements that last for up to a year. What if certain surfing experiences opened a similar window? Not metaphorically, but biologically. This idea only makes sense once we understand how psychedelic therapy actually works. Let me do a quick segue. I gotta tell you guys, Pops grew up in a surfing culture. That's where I grew up. All my friends surfed. We lived pretty close to the beach. And we would, the whole summer we spent at beaches. Sometimes in the morning before school we'd go surfing. In the afternoon if the swells were on, And this is all around the Malibu area. Malibu, Will Rogers State Beach, Zuma, and then we were working our way north towards Santa Barbara. Full disclosure. Let me give you guys full disclosure. Pops was probably the world's second worst, probably the world's second worst surfer. I don't know who the worst is, I haven't found him yet, but I'm pretty darn close. I was terrible at surfing, but I wanted to be in the in group. So I got my swimsuit. Back then we called it a spring suit, neoprene, but it cuts off at the legs, so it's like wearing shorts, and it cuts off at the arms. The water was pretty warm in the summer. So we would wear spring suits. And some guys made their own boards in their garage. Fiberglass, building our own boards in the garage. Now I must admit I never made my own board, but I went to the custom board maker that I bought my board from, and I helped when he was first doing the shaping. So that way I felt like I was real involved in the crafting and the construction of my surfboard. Back then there were a few names that were like, if you had such and such a board, you were cool. So I saved up all my paper route money and I bought myself a Jacobs, and that was the one that I was having made. I go surfing, I had a really hard time standing up. I'm that kind of athlete that's not very coordinated. I'm not. I can't hit a baseball. I'm not that good at a three-point shot. Golfing, I'm not that good at. But if there's physical in it, or you can hit somebody, rugby, football, and even basketball, I was like the jungle defender. If you went up against me in basketball, I usually gave you a bloody nose. Jungle ball! I was the jungle baller. So you had a wrong rush coastline, single fin. Nice. Nice. So I wasn't that athletic in terms of coordination, but I was clearly aggressive. And I liked the sports because it helped me express my aggressiveness in a community acceptable way. I could hit, boy. That's how I made the rugby team. So I'm saying all of that to tell you, don't think Pops is sitting here talking about what a great surfer he was, because he's the exact opposite. I'm a really lousy surfer. Somewhere in my very first summer of being out on my board, I had a traumatic experience. I'm going to catch a set, and I'm paddling up to the wave, and I'm almost standing, I'm on my knees, and I get rolled by the wave. Now mind you that your surfboard is attached to you by a surgical tube about 4 feet long, 5 feet long, attached around your ankle and attached to the surfboard. So the surfboard wouldn't get away from you. But if you get off the board and the surf is still pushing, you're tethered. Thank you, Herbie. And the surf is still pushing, you're being dragged along. This particular event, I got rolled off and I got pulled by my tethered board. I don't know how long I was being pulled, but it felt like a lifetime. And I literally saw my life pass before me. One of those events. I've had that happen twice in my life. The other time when a car went off the edge of a cliff and I thought I was going to die. Well, this surfing event, I thought I was going to die. And I came up, I don't know how I finally made it. I came up, I had a bump on my head from the surfboard, and I was completely road rashed, like red scrape marks, everything on my body, because I had been being dragged along the bottom of the ocean. Would that be scary to any of you? Give me 5 people that would scare just a little bit. Would that be scary? Was it okay for me to be scared? I'm being dragged along. I don't know if I'm ever going to come up. Scary as can be. Mark says no. No, it wouldn't scare him. So I wasn't a very good surfer. Okay? It wasn't coral. Not coral. We weren't on a coral bed. But scared to death. I came out of the water, people checking on me, you okay, you okay? You should just take it easy for the rest of the day. And so I did. I wish I had the picture. I don't know what I did with it. Where is it? Let me see if I can find that picture. Every once in a while, you guys hear me talk about my boat, the last boat I owned. That was my 40-foot Carver. That was my last ego, big ego buy. I'm looking for the picture of when I was surfing. Oh well, that's just not even part of the story here. That boat messed me up, you guys. It was really bad for my ego. Okay, so this is the world's worst surfer. After that, I never really wanted to surf again, but I wanted to hang out with the dudes. So I'd paddle out, play around in the water, piddly, piddly, paddly, paddly. And then I'd go and I'd lay on the beach blanket and I'd talk to girls for the rest of the afternoon. Okay? I would talk to girls for the rest of the afternoon. And I was basically what we call a poser. You couldn't, I would never have admitted it then, but I was basically a poser. Okay? So let's get back to how psychedelic therapy actually works. Psychedelics and the brain's capacity to change. Psilocybin activates the 5-HT2A receptors in the brain's cortex. These receptors are not mood switches. They sit in networks associated with selfhood, perception, prediction, and behavioral patterns. Is addiction a behavioral pattern? When strongly stimulated, they trigger a rapid increase in dendritic spine formation, allowing neurons to connect in new ways. The brain becomes more capable of learning. Patterns that were long established can be updated. In scientific literature, this is described as a pivotal mental state, a moment where the mind becomes unusually open to meaningful experience and where new insights can be integrated into long-term behavior. Is an addiction a long-term behavior? Interestingly, it also shows that these states can occur without psychedelics, under psychologically intense experiences. I would add that personal agency, safety, and situations with a strong alignment with individual values will increase the likelihood of a pivotal mental state occurring. Those conditions appear in certain surfing experiences. Most surf sessions are pleasant. Some are exciting. Some are like pops. A very small number are life-defining. Surfers often describe these moments as if something has reorganized itself in them. Time shifts and perception sharpens. And the words that surface afterwards are telling. Unreal. Mind-bending. Warping. That's how a surfer will describe some of these experiences. This does not happen because a wave is big. It happens because a wave is meaningful. It's frightening. It's beautiful. And what you're doing is voluntary. And because the surfer meets it at the edge of their prepared ability. Clearly, I didn't have a lot of prepared ability. You cannot reach a pivotal mental state on a roller coaster, no matter how dramatic the sensations. The ride demands nothing from you in terms of skill, judgment, or value alignment. And in the same way, you cannot throw a non-surfer from a harbor wall into the storm sea, pull them out again, and expect something therapeutic to have occurred. That kind of forced exposure is more likely to damage a person than to change them. Here is some phenomenological data, if I may. Roughly a quarter of a century ago, I was lucky enough to surf cloud break. My surfing back then was even more stiff and robotic. But after a month in Fiji, I was ready for the challenge. It was 4 to 8 feet, and as our boat approached, I could see immaculate deep blue walls, throwing thick lips of wide elliptical tubes. The size and the power were not in the otherworldly realm, but I had never seen quality like it. My first 2 waves, I was drilled to the depths, like Pops had been. As the 3rd wave loomed into view, a chap from New Jersey shouted out, "Own it!" with a kind of blunt encouragement that made sense in the moment. I made the drop. The wall stretched up and deep blue filled the entire left side of my visual field. The power transmitting through the board was beyond what I thought was possible. I was too scared to stall into the tube, so I simply held the rail and I ran. I kicked out near the end of Shish Kebabs, which is one of the natural spots there in the Fijis. I kicked out, legs trembling and breath shallow, stunned by what had just happened. Seconds later, I could recall almost none of it. But over the course of the next couple hours, I sensed that something had changed, and that I would not step backwards from seeking that feeling again. I want more. As with many intense experiences, not every moment sits on the growth side of the line. At Killer Point in Morocco, I remember being caught too far inside and driven to the bottom. This produced something different. A clean encounter with fear. I scraped over the first wave. I was hit by the second, and then held down and bounced by the third. The rest of the day was spent on shore, rattled and unwilling to re-enter the water. Someone said, "You've got the fear." And they were right. It was the other fork in the path. The literature is clear. Pivotal mental states carry a bifurcation. The outcomes can be post-traumatic growth or post-traumatic stress. The difference lies in preparation, context, and whether you retain a sense of agency. That is why intensity must be scaled, not thrown at people. And then there are the waves that sit in different categories altogether. Steep, technical, unforgiving setups where the consequence is not hypothetical. Even brief moments surfing waves like these can produce something closer to revelation than thrill. And the feeling afterwards is not adrenaline, but clarity. It brings an awareness that something in the mind has opened and it will not close again. There is a sense that nature contains gifts that put striving for modern trappings into perspective. Your relationship with the ocean deepens, not because of the achievement, but because it has shown you a glimpse of what it can do to the mind. This sense of revelation is similar to what psychedelic research subjects describe. It's often stated the experience among the most meaningful of subjects' lives is comparable in gravity to the birth of a first child. Phenomenologically speaking, what does this actually feel like? Surfers who have been through these moments describe a surprisingly consistent set of sensations. The sort that appear across different individuals, locations, and waves, but they mirror features seen in psychedelic research. Do you guys like this article so far? Give me 5 people that are like, "That's a pretty cool article." Lynette, have a good day. Is this a good article? We could either have post-traumatic stress or we can have post-traumatic growth. This is good stuff. I promised you guys a good article, especially if you're not a good surfer like Pops. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you. These are consistent set of sensations that appear across different individuals, locations, and waves, and which mirror features seen in psychedelic research. Number 1, time dilation. Events unfolding in fractions of seconds are perceived with unusual clarity. Visual expansion. Colors or shapes seem to flare at the periphery. Cognitive quiet. Internal chatter drops out. A lightening in the chest. The sense of pressure releasing. Brief auditory imaging. A bar or two of a song. Intimate and fleeting, and then gone. Post-event calm. Not elation, but a meaningful stillness and behavioral integration. Life feels reordered in a way that persists. None of this is mystical. All of it matches with the signatures of a pivotal mental state. Psychological intensity, high stakes, deep meaning, voluntary engagement, and a successful passage through fear produce a window where the brain is unusually receptive to recalibration. Why would nature allow such powerful experiences to occur in the first place? My theory is that their origins lie in the evolutionary pressures of the cognitive revolution around 100,000 years ago, when our ancestors began to rely on planning, prediction, and coordinated action. Survival often depended on mastering high-stakes situations, whether bringing down dangerous prey or avoiding becoming prey yourself. A system that could rapidly and durably encode the skills and perceptions needed in those moments would have offered a clear evolutionary advantage. The mind-bending clarity that follows an intense experience may be the modern expression of that system, a mechanism designed to help us survive, now revealed through surfing or dosing rather than hunting. Blue mind is pleasant. Cold water dips are invigorating. These are transient mood modifiers, but they do not reorganize the person who experiences them. What we are dealing with here is reconfiguration, reductions in rumination, increased cognitive flexibility, resilience in unpredictable situations, creative problem solving, a durable sense of calm, and a strengthened sense of self-agency. These are the kinds of outcomes that are associated with psychedelic therapy. And when they appear in surfing, they are not temporary. They can last for years. The biggest mistake in thinking about this is that assuming that big surf equals profound experiences. Big dose equals profound experiences. Your capacity for intensity is more like a credit score than a line on a wave height chart. It can shoot up, it can crash, or it can stagnate. A wave that bends your mind today won't have the same qualities as one that bends your mind 5 years from now. As discussed earlier, throwing someone into conditions beyond their skill level produces panic or trauma, not transformation. That's why I'm so against the groups that dose you without your knowing. Oh, well, we know it's good for you. And all of a sudden you're in this profound experience and you have no self-agency. You weren't involved in the decision. And there was no pre-discussion or even post-discussion about integration. Have you ever seen somebody panicked after a dose? I see it all too often. The ocean is not a theme park ride. It does not deliver growth or demand it. What works is a steady progression along a long-term pathway. There is not space here to set out surf training programs in detail, but a useful way to think about progression is to consider the type of wave that could deliver a pivotal mental state for you. Every wave places demands across three broad domains: knowledge, technique, and fitness. The next step is to take an honest look at your own position in each of those areas, not in abstract terms, but in relation to the specific demands of the wave you're aiming towards. I'm pretty sure you guys have all got it by now. You can replace the word wave with dose in this article. The gaps between what the wave requires and where you currently are provide a clear framework for progression. This process involves spending time with the ocean in different moods, learning how it behaves, and gradually tuning yourself to the conditions you will eventually want to meet. When the right moment does arrive, it will not feel like luck. It will feel like the natural outcome of the preparation that you have done. That's pretty scary. What a great article. Amazing. Thank you for letting me read that article. Get it, boy! And there's other things that we experience. Surfing is the one that this guy, because he's a surfer, he's able to show the analogous experiences with psychedelics. There are other things that we do in the world that give us that same brain function as dosing. The good news with the dosing, at the end of the day, is it's controllable. It's controllable. And it's really important to not go full tilt boogie on something you're not prepared for. You will crash and burn just like a surfer will if he didn't work his way up to the big waves. To just go big wave hunting, you'll probably end up like Pops did, dragged across the bottom of the ocean and scared of surfing. Okay? Sammy P, yes there is. Yes there is. So, I liked that article a lot. It spoke to me because of my little bit of background, lousy surfer background. But the fear that I experienced, I could imagine I've never experienced fear like I did surfing from psychedelics, but I never attempted to do something with psychedelics that I couldn't do. Whereas with surfing, I was attempting to do some things that I wasn't prepared for. The end result was post-traumatic stress for me relative to surfing, not post-traumatic growth. My experiences with psychedelic have all been post-traumatic growth, but I've also dosed very responsibly. And as some of you know, I'm currently deeply involved in trying to get certified as a PAT therapist. So, incredibly, I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to have more to offer. So, we're working on that whole therapy angle. Psychedelic assisted therapy. The more I read, oh, you don't need somebody to take a dose. No, you don't. No, you don't. You could go out and try surfing all by yourself, or you could surf with a group of guys that have surfed before, and they can show you. You probably want to stay away from that set right now. You're not good enough. You're not going to be able to handle that set. You keep coming back by the end of the summer, you can handle it. So your other surfers were kind of your psychedelic assisted therapists. Isn't that a funny way to look at it? Okay. Anyways, thank you. Good article. HP, we do. We need people who actually know instead of people saying they know. Thank you, Anthony. I'm just reading your comments. Great comments today. Herbie's right. The first time you drop in for a biggie, you want to be prepared for it. 2 or 3 mush fests ago, somebody dropped in on a big dose and wasn't prepared for it. And I'm telling you right now that at the end of the day, I don't think that it was a positive experience for that person. Excuse me. You guys, we've run out of time today. Time flies so fast here. I swear, I look up and we're 67 minutes in already. I think that's a good thing. I think this is my daily dose. You know, back in the day when we were first starting, trying to figure out what we were going to name this program, and the two choices that we came down to were Tea with Pops or Daily Dose. I still kind of like Daily Dose. We went with Tea with Pops, and that was before I didn't even know what the cultural meaning for tea was. Now I find out tea's more like gossip. Well, we don't do that here, but we sure talk a lot to each other. So we're having tea. Daily Dose would have been an interesting one. A daily dose of Tea with Pops. That would have been an interesting, we'd considered it. However, nobody has to dose daily. Microdose, but even that you're not going to do daily. You're going to take a break. Okay, guys, thanks. I'm rattling now. I'm rambling over here. No more rambly. Let's finish up with our 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word, with your actions, with your thoughts. Your thoughts get cleaner. You stop worrying about the crap of the world. You stop thinking about things in less than spectacular. Your brain gets cleared and clean and healthy when you live impeccably or you speak impeccably. Don't put negative words into your vocabulary, and certainly avoid saying anything or doing anything that could be hurtful to another human being. That's something you just practice avoiding completely. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. I just avoid that crap. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just going to clutter up my brain. Number 2, second agreement, don't take anything personal. Learn from everything, but don't take anything personal. Nature is not about me. I'm just one of the smallest little ingredients in nature. Just one. I'm a tiny little grain of sand on the whole beach of life. I'm not that big of a deal. Number 3, we talk about this one a lot. Assumptions and expectations. Poison. It's pure poison. You want to really get pissed off at someone? Send them something out of the goodness of your heart. And now get pissed because they didn't say thank you. Has anybody ever done that? Has anybody? Not so much anymore. Ever. Because I won't send it if I have an expectation now. But I had been there. That son of a gun never even said thank you. Well then why? I guess I know now why you sent it. You didn't send it out of the goodness of your heart. You didn't send it because they needed it. You didn't send it because it was the right thing to do. You sent it so someone could tell you thank you. Don't pollute your gift with an expectation. Don't pollute your life with expectations. And then finally, do your best. Today's better for me than yesterday. I don't have a headache. So we're doing a lot better. Every day will be different. But each day is going to give you a chance and an opportunity to do your best. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. That was awfully kind of Mark Z here to do a giveaway. I'm not sure where that was because I wasn't really following the messages because I was talking. But I have a feeling I'm going to be seeing some emails and I'll have to figure it out. You guys, thank you very much. Pops, peace, love. Let me scroll you guys out of here. It's so very important to say thank you to you each individually that have made a comment, if I can see it here. Captain Kev, and Cleany, and Classic Blaster, and Trenty the Trenty Trenterson, and Derek Anderson, thank you. Thank you. Derek, you had a really nice show last night. I watched it. I was lurking. Dawn and Mark Z. Corey D, thank you. Thank you for your time. You spend just as much here as I do. Am I right? Laura Divine. Laura, you have a divine day. Kimberly, the Golden Bolden. Mike Barabal and Sammy P's practicing. He says so we believe it. Joey D, Mark Z, Derek Anderson, Jesus Christ, and HB, doing his frickin' best out there. Herbie Von Werbs, Don and Mark Z, Anthony Hunt, Jesus Christ in Australia, Kimberly and Dawn and Aaron, and Dylan Keenan. Good morning, Dylan. What a pleasure to see you here. Dylan Keenan. Mark and Notorious Skate. I've been guilty of having an expectation when I say happy birthday to someone that they say thank you. Okay. Zozo LSD, Mike Barabal, Jesus. And no. Jessie Girl, that's Jessie Girl. Captain Kev and the HB and Leonard Watson. How's your wife doing, Leonard? Nippy, you have a beautiful day. Sometimes your daily dose isn't even psychedelics. Sometimes your daily dose is go do something kind. Huh? What do you think about that one? Where are we? Here we are. Claney and Ray Cook. Blessings of warmth and love to everyone today. That's kind, Ray. Thank you. Kimberly and Jonathan Taylor. Good morning, Jonathan. Joe and Mr. Phillips. Mark Z, Jessie Girl, Aaron, Ron, Herbie, Jesus Christ in Australia. Vaggie, you have a wonderful day too. Kimberly, I bet you're going to be warmer than I am today, Vaggie. Kimberly having a fleeky day. Think of Sanam, she had surgery this morning. Okay. We'll keep her in my metaphysical get well thoughts. Shroom Digger, Anthony Hunt, Mello, good morning, Mello. Got some surf going on down there in Jamaica, man. Notorious, HB, Pidgey Page, Kimberly, And Mark and Sarah Bear, my favorite stuffed animal. Joe D's, Sarah Bear, Jessie Girl, Jesus Cristo in Australia, Nipper Mama, Leonard Watson, no change, but that's good, I'm glad. Mark and HP, and Joe D's, and Pop, peace, love, lead and share with kindness. We can all do it. And the world needs a lot more of it, you guys. We gotta be agents. We're the kindness agents. The world needs us. So let's practice and be available to the world. Pop's peace, love, out.